Welcome back to another episode of Gator Diamond Pod. Joined by my co-host Adrian. And Adrian, it's always great to see you. It's always an honor. But now it's a little different. We got a little video now.
Yeah, man, a
We're
little video
we're hitting
action.
the YouTube now. So the
There
YouTube
you go.
grind. We're not just on Apple and Spotify. We're gonna be on YouTube. So also we'll make sure to let you guys know at the end the tag to be able to go check this out. But yeah, man, how you been?
Good, man. Good, man. How's things in South Korea? It's been snowing for you, huh?
Oh, it was really bad. They changed the road conditions, and it was crazy because we were texting yesterday, and they were talking about, oh, with all how bad roads are, we're doing a big exercise this week. They're like, we're gonna have a meeting at 3 a.m. and we might have to have you guys stay on base. I'm thinking to myself, I have my own place off base. Like, where am I gonna stay? Like, I don't live on base. So we were just thinking about that, and I was like, kind of open. And we were supposed to pod yesterday, of course, as you let somebody know back on X yesterday about that. So it's good though we were able to get this pod in today.
Yeah, man. Let's get into it, man. We're gonna try and keep it short, about half an hour or so, just to give a quick update and stuff like that. But let's try and keep it short until the season goes, and then we'll probably get into more longer podcasts once the season starts. We'll be reviewing more the teams upcoming as well as the series that was just played. But for today, let's try and just get to it, man. Go ahead, man. What you got, Chris?
Yeah, so we're four scrimmages in so far, and what have you seen the most? Have you seen more pitching dominance or more hitting, situational hitting? Where could you see this team really get going? Do you think Sully might run more? Obviously, you saw they hit the portal, and Sully mentioned also in that interview with Nick Del Torre that he had three different things. He wants some speed, he wants some leadership, and he also wants some
Yeah.
competitiveness. Where do you see this team right now?
Look, man, this is going to be a really different team from what the Gators have had the last couple, 2 or 3 years. Okay. This team's going to be, I think that they're going to depend a lot more on base running, on stolen bases. You're going to see not only the guys that you expect to steal, like say, Kyle Jones, which you probably have trying to beat, who is it? Who's the record
Matt
holder for the
Dinde.
Florida Gators?
I think it's
Matt
Matt Dendecker.
Dendecker.
Is obviously I didn't go far back into like the 90s or the 80s or
Trying to break a
anything,
stolen base
but
record.
I think he had 22 in 2010 or 11, one of those dates.
Uh-huh.
He went
Well,
like 22 of 28, and I think Jones beat him last year on that. I think Jones had 23 last year. Don't
well,
I
it
can't
might happen.
don't quote me off of
It might happen because Sully's going to be stealing a lot of bases this year. And even some guys that you might even expect it, like for instance, Donay. Brody Donay's got pretty good speed for a big guy, first of all. And he's already stolen a handful of bases during the fall, during spring now. So they're going to steal bases across the board. They're going to get thrown out also sometimes too. So they might be running themselves out of an inning, but that comes with the program when you're trying to steal some more bases. And that's just because this team, Chris, we talked about this probably being the most depth that Sully has had in quite some time. Okay. But one thing that is missing, at least for right now, is proven star power. Okay, you don't have your Jack Cagliones, you don't have your Wyatt Langfords. Obviously, we were spoiled with that for the last 3 or 4 years. So you don't have that. You don't have the guy that you could just point to and say, yeah, that guy's going to carry this team offensively for the next month. And right now, you just don't have that. Now, could a Shelton step up and be that guy? Could a Brody Donay step up and be that guy? Could a Ty Evans step up and be that guy? Yeah, sure.
it.
But have they done that yet? Like like you would expect to have that in a Wyatt Langford or in a Jack Caglione. So that's where this team right now lacks. They lack that quote unquote what we labeled star power, right? So when it's all said and done, this team's gonna just be successful or not based on pitching and defense. Okay, the hitting will probably come along as the season goes, and as Sully figures out exactly what's his best lineup. because because they do have this depth across the board. And what that means basically also is that all the players are kind of equal, Chris. They're kind of equal in talent, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, you got your guys that you definitely expect to be in the starting lineup as far as Shelton at shortstop, Curlin at second base, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But for the most part, there's about three or four guys on that bench that are, just as equal in talent to just about everybody else who's in that starting lineup. So Sully's gonna have to figure out who's got the hot hand at the plate. I'll tell you one thing, Chris. Defensively, this team's going to be lights out. No problems defensively. They make all the
I think that's
plays. They make,
up the board.
uh-huh.
Freshmen, sophomores, even juniors. It's up the board. The defense is just right on cue where you want it to be. Even Landon
uh,
Strickland at third base a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, no, no, no. Look, Stripling, Bozer play a great third base. Um,
Hmm.
Shelton, we've been saying how since last year his defense was a pleasant surprise, and he has shown no let off there whatsoever. Um, The outfield can go get it. Kyle Jones in center field's got great range. He made an unbelievable running catch in the left field gap today. Yost hit 199 off the bat, slicing into the left field gap. You thought for sure it was going to drop, and he pretty much ran it down with no problem. So you got Kyle Jones, you got Ty Evans in right field. And he makes his diving catches. He threw out a runner at third base I believe it was yesterday. And
Hmm.
then you got Yost, who's for right now coming off of the bench, right? And he plays a great defense. He could play any corner position and he could play center field. So defense across the board. Probably honestly, let's just talk about it real quick. The only position on defense that right now is a little bit of a question mark is first base, right? And we know why. We put Brandon Lawson there during the
Yeah,
off season.
I solely confirmed that on the Nick Del Toro
Hmm.
Florida Victorious
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. And that was, an effort to get Brandon Lawson into the lineup, get his bat in there, his left-handed bat in there, uh, put him at first base. But it's going to be a work in progress, Chris. I mean, people think that first base, like if you ever look at Little League, you put the chubby, uncoordinated kid at first base, right? Ever since Little
Hmm.
League, but first base is a lot more complicated than that. Okay, just starting off with the footwork at the position, scooping the balls out and stuff like that. There's a lot more that goes into it. So that's going to be a work in progress at first base, okay? But other than that, defense is going to be lights out, Chris. So it's going to be defense, it's going to be pitching, it's going to be base running, it's going to be a lot of the little things. Um, as of right now, I don't see too many huge, eight, those crooked number type of innings, 5, 6, 7 run innings and stuff like that, with, 2, 3 home runs in an inning or stuff like that. I just don't see that right now. So it's going to be more small ball, more getting people on base, moving them over, getting runs in from third base with less than 2 outs and stuff like that, Chris.
So you've seen Liam and Pierce twice now so far live. You just got back from practice what, an hour ago? What
Yeah.
have you seen? Have you seen anything different from their strides from the spring to summer to fall? From their obviously big emphasis on Pierce. Obviously you can talk a little bit about the low velo and
Yeah,
he's a little lower. Go ahead.
yeah, Pierce. We've talked about that plenty, and Pierce's velo is still in the 90, tops off like a 91 range. Um, and one of his injuries was a shoulder injury, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
That was his
Okay,
first
he
injury.
he had the issues with the back, and then he had the shoulder injury. And the scary one that people always think about it is the Tommy John, right?
Hmm.
But the Tommy John surgery, you see guys coming back from that pretty much with no problem. I mean, sometimes guys come back with even increased velo from a Tommy John surgery, but the shoulder's a little bit of a different story. And Pierce was the shoulder, one of his injuries. Remember, he was out for 2 years. Um, and his velo just hasn't recuperated, and it might never come all the way back. I remember his freshman year, Chris. I was there during fall ball his freshman year. He put down nine batters in a row, struck out nine straight in an inner squad. His freshman year, he was like 97, 98. Okay, almost topping off at 99, a couple here and there. I mean, from the left-hand side at 6'7", that's crazy, man. Uh, so if he hadn't gotten those injuries, he probably would have been a surefire first rounder, obviously, with that type of velocity and height and stuff like that. But even how he is now, Chris, he's still going to be tough to hit, especially in college. He's still, what, 6'7", 6'8",
Hmm.
left-handed pitcher, coming at you even at 90, 91 sometimes. He's got still the good slider. His whole thing is control. Can he command and control that so that his pitch count doesn't get out of hand? And is he good for at least 5, 6 innings, hopefully, or is he a 3 to 4 inning guy? That's where it's gonna see what ha we're gonna have to see what happens with Pierce. But he's gonna be a left-handed pitcher, I think, in the middle of your rotation. I still have him penciled in for Saturday, Chris. We'll see. I still have Liam on Friday, Pierce on Saturday, and I'm going with Clemente on Sunday. I still have that as our rotation for first week against Air Force.
Yeah,
Listen, the whole season. One more thing real quick. The whole season is going to come down to what does Liam do on Fridays. That's what this
yeah,
entire season is going to come down, especially in the SEC. In the SEC, you need your Friday night guy to go out there and give you 6 to 8 innings of solid baseball. So your bullpen could be set up for the rest of the weekend, okay, and get you some wins. If you have a Friday night starter that only goes a handful of innings, it has to be out of there in 2, 3, 4 innings. You're going to tax that bullpen for the rest of that weekend, and it just puts your whole weekend in a bad light, man. Makes it a whole lot difficult to get that. What, Chris? 2 out of 3. Remember, 2 out of 3 in
two
the
out of
SEC.
three, 2 out of 3
Yeah,
wins you series.
makes it a whole lot difficult. Now with Liam, nothing's changed, man. Liam today, I have it right here actually. Liam today was he was popping 97, 96, 97 consistently, topped off at 98, had the hammer going. Um, Looked sharp. Made one mistake to Luke. I was able to get it, video that bad boy, and Luke took him for like probably about 400 feet into the gap down there, man. A bomb. A Luke
Mm.
nuke is what I called it, man, because it was a bomb. But other than that, Liam looked sharp, man, and he's looked sharp. We all know that Liam's got great stuff. When you're talking about Liam, it all comes down to making
It's all come
sure
down to the mental capacity of being able to make your
up here,
pitches. Yep.
making sure that the last impression that people have of Liam was in Omaha. The last couple of weeks of the season, um, I believe even at Clemson, Oklahoma State, right? His outings were not
Hmm.
great, right? Um,
Yeah.
so those,
No, he
so
didn't.
that's the
He
last
didn't pitch
impression.
again. He pitched against Nebraska. Oh, he
Okay.
didn't go again. But no,
Okay.
it was in the College World Series. Is when
Yeah.
he kind of just came
So,
around it again.
Liam has to be able to, when he gets a little bit of adversity, just power through it and not let the train come off the tracks like it's happened a couple times for him. And I believe that's one of the reasons why we didn't discuss the rankings real quick, the
I was gonna
preseason rankings.
we're
Okay,
gonna do
but
that
I
at the
think
end.
I think that's one of the reasons from a national perspective, as far as the Gators are concerned, why the Gators were, probably not in the top five, is because there are some question marks there. But yeah, but that's
Right.
Liam and Pierce, Chris.
So yeah, we talked defense, talk pitching, hitting. Where do you see the strong suits right now? Where do you see a strong suit right now?
Well, look, we talked a lot about, right, the guys that had the sophomore slumps last year, Cade, Curlin, Luke Heyman, Shelton to some extent. Uh, you could throw in, guess what? You could throw in Blake Sear. You could throw in Blake Sear also as having a sophomore slump last year.
Mm,
Okay. Yeah, you could throw in Blake Sear. He had a much better freshman year, I think, than sophomore. Correct me
Yeah,
if I'm
because
wrong, man.
well,
I
he
might be
got
wrong,
hurt.
but
He was hurt.
he got hurt. He got
So
hurt,
I
and
don't know the song,
he
but I
had a
mean,
little injury.
obviously his freshman year was obviously is where he was ranked
Yeah.
so high in the transfer portal rankings, and he's a phenomenal player. Obviously, he's going to play left field for us.
They had, Cade Curlin falls under the he was hurt pretty much the whole year also. That's what the hope is. Okay, that he had that hand injury and it bothered him the whole year. So listen, those are four guys right there. Those are four guys that are coming off what, they would probably describe as, somewhat disappointing sophomore seasons. So of those four guys right now, you're banking on those four guys now coming into their junior years. And putting up some good numbers, man. Putting up some numbers that not only could help the Gators win ball games, but could make themselves
Hmm.
move up the draft boards, right? Because when they put out all of those draft lists, Chris, right? Those top 100 sophomores, top 100 juniors that you reposted, Chris. Not a lot of Gators were up there, were they?
Yeah, the
Not.
top 25. I just didn't have access to the top 100, but top
Mm-hmm.
25, I don't think we had any. Maybe freshmen. If I'm not truly for sure on that. But even
Yeah.
draft boards for this year, only a handful of times you saw Blake Sear and Kobe Shelton in that
Yeah.
99, 100 range. Really, they're like only top 100 players right now. Or they're
Correct.
top
So.
100, but obviously, only the top 32, right? It's the first round. So you have your
Mhm.
compensatory picks too and everything. So,
So again, there goes that perceived lack of star power that we're
mhm.
talking about, right? Because when you think about star power, you're thinking about first round draft picks, surefire first rounders, MLB draft picks. That's what you're thinking about when you think about star power, like Texas A&M with Jace Laviolette and all of those guys and stuff like that. So they got something to prove, man. They got something to prove offensively, especially at the plate this year. A lot of guys have something to prove, man. So hopefully they do come with that type of mentality and get off to good starts. That's important. Get off to good starts that first month of the season. Get off to good starts so you're going into SEC ball ready to roll, Chris.
I think the first few weekends are very huge before we go into Miami. Obviously, Miami is always a tough matchup for us. I mean, Soli owns Miami, but it's still always a competitive matchup each time we play them. So I think they need to just get back to where they were those first few weekends before we play Miami. We kind of can see a little bit out of that when we have Air Force coming up February 14th, 17 days.
Yeah. February 14,
I thought
17
there was
days.
I thought there was a good quote from Tony Vitello actually. I was talking a little bit on Twitter a little bit about this, about SEC baseball coaches, and he was at longevity. Kevin O'Sullivan has dominated the SEC for now going on his 18th year. He said to Nick Del Torre, he said, "This feels like my first year." For somebody like 18 years, only feel like it's his first. He's got a lot in the tank left. But the good quote was, "Kids don't realize it these days, but the struggle is a good thing. It makes you into who you are. Struggles meant I had to invest more and try harder." I think that can sit in tone with how our sophomore slumps were last year with a lot of guys hitting wise. I think it can mold them in. You need to see growing up and everything, they were all probably 400 hitters, and they probably didn't see that slump until last year. But how do you bounce back from the struggles that you had? You look at all our sophomores last year. They've had phenomenal freshman year. Erlin was a 300 hitter. Luke was a 310 hitter. You
Mm-hmm.
pretty much have those guys, and where do they? And then Shelton, if you count him too, obviously he was at Alabama. He was a 300 hitter most of the whole season till the end. Where were they last year? 250, 270. I think Luke was maybe 245. I want to say
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
struggle. They it was a
They
painful
struggle.
struggle. They
They
struggled at the
struggled.
plate.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's no two ways about it, man.
But
They
I think we've
struggled.
seen though
We talked
in the
about it. They
scrimmages, yeah,
struggled.
we struggled. I mean we talked about this a lot last year about. I mean our records spoke for it. our record spoke for it, and we barely made the tournament last year. But at the same time, is how do you bounce back from it? And I think they're gonna have a big bounce back. I think you're gonna see a lot of maturity at them at the plate. Plate discipline is gonna be huge from curling. You know, coming probably middle of the order if they pump them up into the top of the lineup somewhere, maybe second, because obviously Kyle Jones is leading off. But I think you see a little bit more maturity. I think we've seen Luke Heyman take a little bit better play discipline. He's been able to go deep twice now. So during in the spring practices so far.
He's got a couple home runs during spring. He's the only guy that's got multiple home runs, I think, during spring. You know, Bobby Bozer and Blake Sear hit their first home runs. I don't think, I don't remember neither the one having a home run during fall. I could be wrong. I
We
might
were
have.
talking about this yesterday, but I didn't find the clip. But I want to say one of them went deep in the fall. I don't quote me on it, but I thought one of them did. Maybe
Did
they
it?
were. Maybe I
Now
don't
look,
know.
th this is the last thing that we'll talk about this, and then we'll go to the rankings. But that's what is frustrating sometimes about the inner squads, right? You don't know,
Hmm.
like in football, right? Like during spring practice for football,
Hmm.
people always start talking about, well, the defense is looking good at the off. Okay, is it that the defense is good or is it that the offense is bad? So you don't know because you're going up against yourself. So this is the same thing, right? Is it that our pitching is really good or is it that our hitting stinks, right? So the good news is that a lot of the offense on Sunday, if you think about, right, the better pitchers were pitching on Friday and then on Saturday and then on Sunday, all of a sudden you saw this offensive explosion Sunday, right? And well, it stands to reason that was a lot of the end of the bullpen type of guys that were pitching on Sunday. Okay.
Hmm.
So, the bats kind of took advantage of that. So you do want to see that. Okay. That's something you want to see. Now, are they, teeing off on your frontline pitchers? No. But that's a good thing, right? Because if your frontline pitchers are getting teed off on, now you're worried
It's
about your
like a
frontline
double-edged
pitcher.
sword. It's like a double-edged
Exactly.
sword, and we saw this on Twitter because people were talking about these stand when we post these standout things. People are like,
Yeah.
whoa, is Liam not healthy? Is Liam not back to where he was? Okay, then is our
Yeah.
offense maybe their offense just jumped up and they hit him a little bit. But at the same time, it's just I don't look at pitching how the numbers look. I more look at like the location, where you throw, how are you looking? Because you have a game in 17 days. Where are you locating your pitches right now in certain counts? That's all I care about right now because Pierce is a big one right there because he doesn't have that 95 anymore. He can't just throw that fastball down the middle anymore. I want to see him locate the fastball inside outside, get on the hands of the hitters, make it deception with the lefties. You have the slider, use the slider a lot more. You got to get into better counts and you maybe can go with the high fastball. He likes that. He likes to go high with the fastball, like a rising
Yeah.
fastball, pretty much on two strikes, or even bury the slider. So more, it's if you get hit around, you do. But I want to see more pitch selection, and it's a big thing right there.
Yeah. I mean, one good positive bright spot from the pitching staff is Alex Philpott. He's
Yeah.
he increased his velo by like 5 miles per hour during the off season. He was like an 89, 90 guy last year, and
Yeah,
now he's
90.
consistently 94, 95 even. So he's got some good velo going because if you remember last year, Chris, he was very effective at just missing barrels, man. He wasn't lighting up the radar gun, but he was, locating his pitches good. He was getting um, good stuff with his off speed, with his changeup. So he was missing a lot of barrels last year. Um, he was effective. I believe he pitched in Omaha a couple times. He was effective over there. So I'm looking forward to seeing Alex Philpott pitch this year. I still think that the leader in the clubhouse to be the closer is going to be McNeely, Luke McNeely. But I think Philpott could push him somewhat also. So I won't be surprised if Sully tries either or. And if one stumbles a little bit, then he'll go with the other guy, but he's going to want to try and figure that out, try and pin that down that first month of the season. And we're going to talk about that a lot, right? First month of the season, all these guys are going to get so much at bats. They're going to get a lot of at bats. They're going to get a lot of innings. And, he's going to give anybody and everybody an opportunity to go and take a job. Go out there and
Mhm.
take a job. But when you get your opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. Be it on the mound or be it at the plate. When it all comes down, man, Sully's gonna play whoever gets the job done. That's it. That's what Sully's always done here, dude.
No doubt. Obviously, by SEC play, the lineup will be pretty much solidified, and you probably see where people are going to be then. Well, yeah. So let's jump into some rankings.
Go
Obviously,
ahead, man.
Florida.
What were some of those
Florida
rankings?
comes in. D1 baseball has Florida at 10. I think Baseball America had Florida at 7. They just came out with their
Hmm.
rankings. I saw them were at 7. I think I texted you that. I saw them. I think D1 baseball, obviously, they favor Florida a lot. And, Florida gets these high rankings most of the time. But I thought this year they're placed probably where they should be. We talked about it. Big thing, no star power. There's no guys on this team right now that is going to get pitched around like we had Jack Caglione. There's no Jack Caglione, White Langford, Sterling. You don't have a Barco. You don't have Jack. So pretty much there's no guys that are like Liam can be the guy, but we need him just to be him. But Florida at 10 right now, five SEC teams ahead of them, Florida State ahead of them. What do you think? What do you think by the
You know,
rankings?
a couple
And
things, man.
Georgia. And
Yeah,
Georgia's ahead of
Georgia.
Florida right now.
That's life in the SEC, right? Like I tweeted that out the other day, right? No matter what sport it is, that seems to be just life in the SEC, right? Um, be it preseason rankings or recruiting rankings and stuff like that. That's just life in the SEC. It's the best conference in the nation in just about almost every sport that they compete in. But listen, I think 10 for the Gators is a good spot. It shows a lot of respect for the program, so shows a lot of respect for Sully. And I'll tell you why. Plain and simple, this was almost a team that was a whisker away from not making a regional last year and having a losing season. I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
whisker away. And you get to the postseason and you have basically two guys, three guys if you want to throw in Jameson Fisher, but basically Jack Haglione and Brandon Neely that literally carried this team all the way through the postseason. Okay. And also Jameson Fisher. I want to throw him in too. I got to give him some credit. Three
You going
guys
you going
that
last name,
carried
first
them.
name?
Yeah, Jameson Fisher, Fisher Jameson, um, carried these guys through to the postseason, man. And they're gone, right? And those three guys are gone. So that's why the rankings are what they are as far as the preseason rankings go. There's just a lot of question marks, and there's the question marks that we had talked about with Liam Peterson, right? There's the question marks on that's your Friday night guy, and he's got to prove it. He's got to prove that he's able to have the pressure fall on his shoulders, um, and he experienced it last year. I mean, he was the Friday night guy last year for like what, like half of the season, Chris? Or almost more than half, right? Wasn't he the Friday
Yeah.
night guy for like almost half of the season? So,
Neely?
um,
Come on,
Liam,
Neely?
Liam, 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 Liam Peterson.
Yeah, Leon. Yep.
I mean, he was the Friday night guy for like more than half of the season. So he has a lot of experience, man. So all that, all those opportunities he had starting on Fridays last year in the SEC, all those opportunities in which he will be the first to tell you, man, he had bad outings. He failed in the regional in Omaha, what have you. All those, you hope that he's learned from it and is able to apply it for this season moving forward. And because if he becomes, I'll say it again, man, I hate to put so much pressure on him, but if he becomes that knockout Friday night starter in the SEC, yeah, the Gators are going to have a really good regular season. And once you get into the postseason, it's just everything hits reset button. It's a brand new season, Chris. So that's how I feel about
Yeah.
those rankings, man. I thought I thought that they were fair. I thought that they
Yeah, I
were
thought they
fair,
were
and to have Arkansas up there, LSU, Arkansas, the usual suspects, right? The usual suspects. Tennessee, defending national champs. They got a lot of respect for being the defending national champs, even though I think that they're gonna not struggle, but they're gonna take a step back. I mean, Chris Moore and Blake Burke were probably two of the better players in the nation last year, two of the top 10 players in the entire nation. So they got to take a
I
step back.
thought they hit the portal pretty good though. I think they're going to struggle. The team chemistry is not going to be fully there right away, but I do still see them probably still a really good team. I mean, Vitella is still there coaching, so you
Tel's
know.
a good coach. They get their ace back this year, I mean, dude, Chris, they won the national championship last year, and arguably their ace was out the whole year.
Yeah, and they're
So they're
talking
gonna get
first
him
round.
back.
They're talking about first round grades with
Yeah,
him right now. Talking about
yeah.
I think
My buddy
baseball
who's
was
a
talking.
scout, they love him. I have a couple scout buddies, and they love him. They love that. What's his name, dude? His name escaped me off the top of my head. The guy that we're talking about from
AJ Russell.
Tennessee, AJ Russell. There you go. Good job. Good job. Yeah, AJ Russell. It's kind of a righty, loose arm, just kind of slings it up there, but is a darn good pitcher, man. So he was out all last year, dude. So he's back this year. They did good in the portal. They got a couple of guys that the Gators were looking at, right? The Gators were looking at Killen and they were looking at Fisher, right? And
Mm-hmm.
with Fisher came Liam Doyle. They were like a 2-for-1 out of Ole Miss. So Liam Doyle, left-handed pitcher, and Fisher. So we'll see, man. Tennessee's gonna be tough. Is that here or is that at Tennessee this year? I believe it's at Tennessee.
It was at Florida
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, it was at Florida last year. So at Tennessee, but other than that, so who else do you like in the SEC? LSU, Arkansas?
Yeah, LSU was a funny one because if you look at it, they finished 2024 not ranked, and they jump all the way up after a portal and guys coming in. They jump to number three. Obviously, I think they have a really good respect. I'm not saying a favorite, but I'm watching South Carolina this year just to see how Paul Maneri is going to do coming back to coaching. Because
Hmm.
he's the head coach now at South Carolina. He
Yeah,
came
yeah,
back.
yeah.
He was retired. It's actually funny because North Carolina got Bill Belichick from out of retirement, and then Paul goes to South Carolina. I don't see them as a favorite at all. He's still got work to do there. South Carolina's got some work, but I still want to see how he does coming back. NIL stuff with him, but the surefire team I do want to see is I want to see some revenge with some Texas A&M Texas matchup,
Hmm.
some
They're gonna be
Schloss
tough, man.
versus Jace. I mean, A&M was able to keep Prager and Lavalette. I think they're gonna be really good this year. They did lose
Prager,
their Saturday guy. I think this year he's gonna miss the season. Yes, Tommy John.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But Prager turned down like 1.5 bonus. He turned down 1.5 to come back. They have Lampkin, who dominated
hmm
us in Omaha. So their pitching staff is set. They got the Gavin Cash kid out of Texas Tech. He came here for the regional a couple years ago. Gavin Cash out of Texas Tech, yeah, Texas
at
Tech.
Texas Tech.
Big left-handed
I
power hitter. Like if they needed one with Chase Laviolette there. Uh, and they got that guy that I love, man. I love Grahovic. I think he's a great ball player. So
He's
Texas
only
A&M is going to
sophomore.
be tough, man. Texas A&M is going to be really, really tough. Yeah, so that'll be good. They were
I was
here
gonna.
last year also, so we'll be
Well,
going
go.
to Texas A&M if we play them. I don't know if we play them.
I don't think we played them. I
I
have
don't
this.
think we play them.
I think I have it on my phone. I don't think we played them this year.
But all right, Chris, we're at 34 minutes. We want to keep it to about half an hour. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let them know when we're going to be on now during the season, what they can look forward out of us during the season, and our goal. Now, Chris is in South Korea. That's a 14-hour time difference from me. Okay, and he's on a military base dealing with military stuff and blizzards, snowstorms over there. But our goal is to always record on. Go for it, Chris.
Monday night for
Uh-huh.
you, and Tuesday morning for me. We should be able to have the podcast out by I think we were said Tuesday midday. About every week, we're gonna be posting on all three platforms. So we're gonna be jumping
Tuesday.
on YouTube. YouTube, yeah,
Off
Tuesday
YouTube, Apple,
and
Spotify,
Spotify.
and Tuesday we feel get it out there to you guys on Tuesday. You're gonna have a recap of the week, right? And then a preview of the opponent coming up for the weekend, like how we did it for all of last year. We'll be going over top pitchers, top hitters of the upcoming teams for that weekend, and then our predictions, right? Man, we got to keep track of
Obviously,
our predictions. I'm sure that I
we
beat you on our predictions last year, right?
I
Yeah,
think
I'm sure
you
that I
you
beat
probably did. But yeah, so
you.
With that Tuesday podcast, because obviously it'll be Monday night for you, we will have those Tuesday, Wednesday games. So we'll touch a little bit on those. Obviously, our more in-depth analysis will be those weekend
Definitely.
matchups that we have.
Especially during
So
SEC week, especially during
mhm.
SEC schedule. That's for sure.
Yeah, no
All right,
doubt.
brother.
But we have definitely hit our time, and it's been a good podding with you. It's been back. I think the last one was like 2 months ago, so it feels good to be able to hit that record button again. But yeah, so thank you guys all for all the support you guys do. We greatly appreciate it. You guys can hit a follow on Gator Diamond Pod on X. That'd be greatly appreciated, or hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Same socials on all Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and X. Thank you. We'll see you guys next
All
time. Go
right.
Gators.
Go Gators.